Viewers, breaking the rules once again. Someone's offered me a lovely car in the local area and I just could not say no. This is a 2023 Suzuki Ignis 1.2 SZT CVT. Welcome to Contingency Reviews. So we have had a current generation Suzuki Ignis on the channel before. That was a 2020 model, although I think it was actually registered at the end of 2019, that I filmed with Mr. Richardson for the Furious Driving channel back in 2020, right before everything changed, shall we say, on Twin Jacket Reviews. Things have altered a bit with the Ignis range since then. So when I was offered this incredibly low mileage example, which registered in August 2023, I really couldn't say no. The main difference with this car compared with the last one is not actually the mild hybrid system. That car was a mild hybrid as well. It's actually that this has the CVT gearbox in it. The engine is slightly different as well. We'll get onto that. So when the car was launched in this country in 2017, the options were a normal 1.2 engine with 88 horsepower known as the K12C. That was offered with a 5-speed manual or an AGS gearbox. Then you could get the 5-speed manual with all-grip 4-wheel drive. You actually still can. And then you could also get a 1.2 mild hybrid, again with the manual gearbox. So you had quite a lot of choice for some reason, although the exciting things like the 4-wheel drive were only available on the top model SZ5. The CVT or AGS has always been available as well on this mid-range SZT model. The mild hybrid system initially, until the middle of 2019, I think was only on the top model, but I might be wrong about that. The SZ3 model, that was the bottom of the range car, which actually has quite a few differences in comparison with the other two trims, that was discontinued actually a few years ago. So the really cheap base price that afforded, which was only £12,500 when I last reviewed one of these in 2020, that has considerably changed. A base model one of these, which would be an SZT now, it costs almost £18,000, which puts it sort of perilously close to larger rivals like the MG ZS and the Dacia Duster. Strangely enough, back in the day, the Dacia Duster and the MG ZS were also quite close in price. In fact, I think both were cheaper than one of these, even in an SZ3 trim, which didn't give you things like the roof rails, it didn't give you the clever sliding seats, it didn't give you alloy wheels, and actually this SZT's got a lot of equipment on it now, loads and loads and loads of equipment, even more so this 2023 model. 2024 I'm not sure, but the 2023 model actually has got autonomous emergency braking and lane departure warning and things like that now, which was only available on the top spec SZ5 for a long time. This car does 0 to 60 in about 12 seconds. There is actually no penalty in terms of performance for going for the CVT gearbox as opposed to the 5-speed manual. The 5-speed manual in this is really, really lovely. It's a very nice, slick, easy unit to use. I spoke to Matthew, who owns this car, about why he went for the CVT and not the manual. And he does have a manual license, but he just prefers automatics, which is, fair enough, really. Main rival for one of these would be something like a Toyota Aygo X. They're very similar in price, but similar in terms of the sort of ethos, because they both are really sort of city cars that look like SUVs, and there's not many of those sort of cars left on the market now. And you can also get the Aygo X with a CVT gearbox. They cost roughly the same. I think the entry point for the Aygo X is a little bit less than this. Certainly this is a bit faster than one of those. I have driven one, drove one in 2022. I had a 5-speed manual in it, and it does feel like a little bit more power, though CVT's sort of okay. I mean, I think they're less problematic with some of the other gearboxes out there, which in small little cars like this tend to be things like robotised manuals, and I'm not really a fan of things like that, viewers, as I think I've said in the past. Well, my usual filming spot in this area today is going to have the grass cutting in the background, I'm afraid, but there we go. Considering it's January, it's actually quite a bright day. It's quite nice. Fortunately, we're getting lots and lots of sort of extraneous light, which is just the way that it goes sometimes with these things, I'm afraid, viewers. The car still looks really good. This is an interesting colour. It's, I think, known by Suzuki as green. I mean, does it look grey to you? I don't know. It's a nice colour anyway. I like this. I gather, though, actually, that the interior is not as fun as it used to be. I remember the white and orange bits on the pre-facelift model that I drove in 2020. We'll have a look at that later and see if it has some of those. But first of all, we'll look in the boot. No parking sensors on this model. You do get a reversing camera, though, and you do really need something like that, because the 3/4 visibility is not actually that great, although the rear window is relatively large. So, because all the Ignis models now have a mild hybrid system standard, you'd think that they would have impacted the boot space over the previous models, but it hasn't actually. So you've got this liner in here, which is nice. There's not really much reason for me to pull this out particularly, because if you do, the only thing underneath here is going to be a tyre inflation kit, I think. But I will. Let's see if I can take this out. Oh gosh, done it. Okay. It's back later, won't I, as well? Yeah. So you lift up the floor. There's just that. It's just some tools, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, I would like a car that actually does have some degree of off-road capability to have a proper spare wheel, but there we go. Boot light in there. I don't know why that's not coming on. Oh, there's a switch there. That's why. We'll leave that as it is. There's 267 litres of boot space in here. There is quite a big lip, and the seats are, if you fold them down in there, they don't really lie anywhere near as flat as you'd expect, but never mind. If you have the four-wheel drive version, it's only got 204 litres of boot space, by the way, so it is quite a penalty. Normal closing boot, which is great. See the side of it, we've got the lines a bit like the old SC100 WizKid Suzuki from the late 70s, which I think actually is a really nice little feature. So I set this up for my driving position, and I'm about 5'11". Let's see if we need to kind of bow our head a little bit. Yeah, I just about got away with that. You see, when the roof comes down in here, it's really, really easy to bang your head on there. And I think I did that several times last time, but I'm a bit aware of that now. No grab handles in the back, which is a bit disappointing. And also, you don't get a driver's seat mat pocket at the back. You do get a nice place to put a bottle in the back door. The door card is all sort of hard plastic, and we've only got windy windows in the back, but never mind. If you had an SZ5, you could get electric rear windows, but don't necessarily need those, do we? The SZ3 model used to have just a sort of standard bench in it. Can't you see that? That's better. The SZ3 used to have a bench in it, which didn't sort of slide forward and back or recline, but all the Ignis models now have this separate two-seat configuration. If I can see, I can remember which one of these we pull to sort of move back and forth. This one I think is for the recline. You can put it like that if you want. And this one, it should be the, just sort of slide it back and forth. I'll have to actually play with that a little bit because this is going to be interesting. Yeah, it does actually move. Can you see that? It does actually move back and forth. It's quite difficult to demonstrate that just on my one hand, but there we go. It does actually move back and forth. And we've got actually okay sort of leg room. This is at the rearmost position. I wouldn't want to sort of move that any further forward, but actually there's a lot more space in here than I think in the Swift, which shares this platform. The old Baleno did as well, actually. Suzuki are getting their money's worth out of this Heart Tech platform, it's called, which is good. Although the interiors are so much duller than it used to be. There's no kind of orange centre console down there. There's no white bits on the dash. It's all very black and kind of dark and not really to my taste, viewers. I mean, some of you think this is fine, but I just prefer the older one, which is a shame really, but there we go. I suppose it's to do with rationalising production and things like that. For a car made in 2023, this is quite a simple interior, and a lot of you will actually really like. But we've got good old-fashioned analog dials in here for the rev counter and for the speedo, and I'm all for that. I think that's fantastic. Also down here, although it's not visually as exciting as it used to be, we've got idiot-proof, old-fashioned air conditioning controls. We don't have the nice kind of sort of retro-looking, although not retro in operation, climate control system that you get on the SZ5, which has a sort of interesting slider for the heating and ventilation temperature, and then on the right hand side of the fan speed it's just sort of normal, but a lot of you will find that fine. In here we've got 12-volt socket and USB and aux in. That is to do with lane departure warning, and that is autonomous emergency braking. So you can actually turn those off if you want, which is fine. And we've got a normal handbrake. I'm not using it at the moment because it's an auto, so I don't need to use a handbrake all the time if I don't want to. We've got a USB kind of adapter thing in there. That's interesting, isn't it? Fantastic. I think that's for the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in there, and you can sort of do various things with this. That's really weird, isn't it? Can you slide that back and forth, or just stay there? It's a bit wobbly, that. It really is a bit wobbly. I'm a bit concerned about that. I don't want to put too much weight on that in case it falls over. You can turn off the traction control, and you can turn off stop-start there if you don't want that. That's good. Up there is a trip computer information. We'll have a look at that in a moment, and also look at this very old-fashioned touchscreen now. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but that must be one of the most old-fashioned touchscreens actually currently on sale in this country. It's a glove box lid steering, really sort of, yeah, it's still not the best. Let's try the secret mission documents, viewers. No. 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 That's not good. Yeah, both in terms of the light coming in here and also in terms of the fact that I can't fit them in. I'll just put most in the door. Never mind. Steering wheel, because this is the SZT, we don't have cruise control on this side. We do have other things going through sort of volume and the modes for the stereo. Got controls for telephone system in there if you want it. I've actually got automatic lights and automatic wipers in here. These actually feel really expensive for a little car like this, these indicator and wiper stalks, which is good. Everything else is very sort of hard plastic. Just close that glove box. And it fits in there quite nicely. Maybe take that out later on. So the door pulls themselves are a little bit different in terms of the colour from the rest of the door panel, which is good because we've got things like exposed screw heads in here and, you know, hard plastic. But then everything that you're going to buy at this sort of price, something like, I don't know, Hyundai i10, Kia Picanto, Toyota Aygo X, you could even buy an MG3 for sort of less money if you want to. They've all got hard plastic interiors in there anyway, so no surprises there. Right, I think that is about it, apart from this touchscreen, which we're going to have to look at because I think by car reviewing rules I have to. Wow, look at this key. That is absolutely amazing. A 2023 car with the same key as the Swift that came out in 2004. Absolutely amazing. Obviously, if you SZ5, you've got keyless entry, so you don't have this, but that is absolute utter nostalgia, isn't it? Okay, let's look at this very simple instrument cluster first. And yeah, it's really simple. The only thing I would say is that you don't get a temperature gauge for the engine. You only get some lights, but that's not unusual these days. And then the touchscreen itself. Yes, the last time I saw this, I was driving a I think it was a 2018 Suzuki Vitara, but that had an infotainment system dated from 2015. The very early Ignis in this country had an aftermarket system by Pioneer, which I gather wasn't particularly good, but this isn't very good either. Look at this. The volume is on a slider thing, so you're better off actually using the volume control on the steering wheel. These are all touch-sensitive buttons, and there's not really an awful lot to say. System settings and sound settings and this sort of stuff. Do we even get a back button? Do we have to hit that one all the time? Yeah, smartphone link. Let's see if we got Android Auto or CarPlay. It doesn't even show on here. It does have it, actually. I don't think it's wireless. It is a wired system. I've been speaking to Matthew about that. Will media do it? Bluetooth, USB, iPod. Wow. You can see when that was designed. I don't think they sell the iPod anymore, viewers. Yeah, not a lot to say about that, really, for once, on contingency reviews. Normally we have to spend ages kind of fiddling with a touchscreen. But we won't have to. Instead, we can have a look under the bonnet. So this is the K12D engine in this car with the mild hybrid system, which all Ignis now come with, generating 82 horsepower. The previous engine that was available with these cars when it came out in 2017 up until the cars was facelifted in 2020 was the K12C, which generated about 88 horsepower. Looks reasonably easy to sort of work on. I mean, gearbox is down there, as we can see. Though this is a CVT one, so you're going to have to do things like checking it out more thoroughly in the 5-speed manual. But actually, yeah, there looks like enough room to work on one of these. Suzukis are generally very, very reliable cars. And actually, from 2023 onwards, all Suzukis come with a 7-year warranty, which is really surprising. This one obviously has it, and I don't think there's going to be any problems with that, which is brilliant. Right, with a little face, a little mask staring at me. Let's go for another drive, shall we? It's very pleasant though. The ride is very good. The engine's not too intrusive. It's a 4-cylinder rather than a 3-cylinder. The ride is just very composed. You do get a bit of body lean in corners if you go a bit faster, but if you're going at moderate speed, you don't really notice that. And for something that's going to spend a lot of its time within city limits, then maybe this is the sort of thing that you need. You don't need the sort of last word in dynamism and handling, which would have been, the kind of domain of cars like original Ford Ka back in the day. This is probably more suitable for what most people will use one of these for. You can take them off-road. I have seen a recent video where someone took one of these on a really quite kind of severe off-road track in competition like a Dacia Duster, and it sort of did okay for itself. I'm quite surprised actually that something like this would, but there's not a lot of ground clearance really, and they do tend to just not be so ideal for that. But I'm impressed nevertheless. It's one of the sort of cheaper ways into getting four-wheel drive on a little car like this. I mean, rival would have been, I think, the Panda 4x4 if they even still made those, but I'm not actually sure that they do. So this kind of has a bit of the market to itself, if that makes sense. So viewers, should you consider the Suzuki Ignis as a little city car or a very, very inexpensive SUV? I don't see why not. I mean, these cars are only about 900 kilograms, even with this CVT gearbox. They actually do very good fuel economy. I remember Whatcar putting one of these through a real MPG test a few years ago and getting about 60 miles per gallon. I think maybe you would get a little bit less than that in this automatic version. It's not that much less. It's about 4 miles per gallon different from the normal manual version with this mild hybrid system. But yes, I mean, it's quite nippy. The steering is really light in this car. It's very, very easy to drive. Fits in small parking spaces, although the reversing camera does have the sort of definition of one of those old bitmaps from Microsoft Paint, but that doesn't matter. I like the sort of retro appeal of this car in many ways. I'd rather have this than something like a Mini personally. It just serves a bit more me, even if they don't handle necessarily as well as a Mini. But anyway, yes, for your 19 or so thousand pounds of this car would cost with metallic paint and a CVT gearbox, I think actually if you want quite low running costs, apart from the insurance, which is a little bit high on this, then this is a very good car to consider, especially now they've given it a 7-year warranty. That's amazing. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video in the comment below, and we shall see you again soon for more last minute videos.